Good afternoon, everybody. I am going to do a quick little video out here in the front to show you how things are progressing. Please ignore if you see some mess places because we had a lot of rain yesterday and it blew a lot of sticks and things down, so it's not perfect, but you all know how that is in the gardening world. You can see that the hostas are just doing beautifully. And these are the deutzias that all my lovely blooms got killed on. But the bushes themselves are still really pretty. I love the light green. And then you have a few blooms on the one over here. And of course all these hostas are really looking great. And so is the Japanese painted fern. There's a few blooms on this deutzia and a few more that are going to open, but there's a lot of burnt ones. But you can see how beautiful it would have been if they had all been in bloom. The bleeding hearts just get larger every day. It's still hard for me to believe this was only 2 plants that we got. You can see the Japanese painted fern down here. They're doing great. And this Japanese maple here, this is one, I really cut it way back. But it is growing like crazy. It loves that spot. And in the distance you can see those wonderful tall ostrich ferns. There's the fern leaf bleeding heart. And these are 2 volunteer Japanese painted ferns that just seated themselves right there. More hostas coming up. And right now the columbines are just magnificent. And look at that beautiful elderberry. See how tall it is too? And I whacked it way back in the fall. And there's one lonesome little tulip. But lots of hostas. I hope the light's not too bright for you. But look at the sun shining on that Japanese maple. Now this deutzia is magnificent. Look at the million buds on this one. It's really strange how everything's in the same yard and some get hit, and the ones over there that got hit were actually under the trees much more than this one, so it's kind of strange, but that's just another part of gardening. You take the good with the bad. Dogwood you can see down on the front bank. Up on the front here, I wanted you to see one of the vintage shutters that John turned into this wonderful display piece for me. Put that adorable honey sign that we got at Joann's. We bought the letters to spell out Buzz. And he took the 2 metal bees. Those were actually some of my garden stakes. So he robbed the yard and put those on the shutter. But I just love that. And he did a couple of those for friends also. no blooming flowers on the porch yet. I had to wait because of all the cold weather we've had. But now it is supposed to get quite warm this week. We're going to have 3 or 4 days in the 80s. So at least for the next 2 weeks, no nights lower than in the mid-40s. And since in 2 weeks, that'll be May 10th, and that is typically our last day for a freeze. You can see how large those ostrich ferns have got. They have just about covered up that welcome shovel sign. More columbines are going to be blooming. I see a lot of weeds in this bed too that I'm going to have to attack. The ferns and the corydalus. Somebody on a YouTube channel I was watching, they called this type of Helleborus stinking Helleborus, and I don't smell an odor from this one, but that's what they called it. But I love the way the little flowers droop over. Of course, the flowers are pretty much past their prime, but I will leave them until they totally turn brown, and then I'll cut them off. I've already cut all the bad leaves off, so we're that much ahead. And right there, the Lamian is blooming. More columbines are going to be opening up. There's another big one right there. You can see all the Japanese painted ferns in there. I probably will have to thin some of those out this year. And look at this columbine. Just absolutely gorgeous. This is the most blooms it's ever had on it too. And I planted some of the snapdragons in here. And there is the woodland flock. Over here are where I planted that pot of pansies. And that beautiful primrose. It's starting to fade some. And look at all the columbines on this corner of this bed. More woodland flock right there, getting ready to bloom. The Missouri sundrops will have buds on them soon. Bee balm is coming up. The clematis is climbed past the gate. And I want to go over here and show you this columbine. Right there was where I planted the lupin, and the rain kind of beat it up pretty bad. Crepe myrtle coming back. There's where I planted the anemones. And look at this beautiful pink and white columbine. You can see the fiddleheads coming up on this fern. I believe this one was the autumn fern. But they're kind of strange when they first come up. They almost look like something from outer space. It's a lot of weeds in this bed I've got to get to. I love ferns though. more woodland flock, black-eyed Susies, several different clematis in here. And this was a volunteer clematis right there. Alrighty, I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed afternoon. There are birds in that house right over there. One is, I don't know whether they're feeding yet or whether they're still building their nest. And I don't know whether you can see, but I don't want to go back over and bother them. Well, as I said, have a great day. Till the next time.